With E3 just around the corner, there's lots of speculation around new games being revealed. With SEGA announcing plans to revitalize their older IPs, there could be some really awesome surprises. All I really want from E3 2017 is Jet Set Radio 3, but it needs to be better than its predecessors. It needs to capture the essence of the franchise and add new elements to improve the overall product. So, with that in mind, here are 10 things we need for Jet Set Radio 3. I know it's obvious that Jet Set Radio is a SEGA franchise, but it's not your average SEGA game. That's okay, that's what makes it different. I do think having a bit of a nod towards other SEGA characters, games, or hardware could be really cool, and finding Easter eggs in a game is always fun. Like finding cats in Jet Set Radio Future, or having Sonic as an ornament in Rad Mobile. They could go even further and have Sonic the Hedgehog as a playable character. Alright. Before you all summon your pitchforks, hear me out. Gum and Beat are already playable characters in SEGA Superstars Tennis and SEGA All-Star Racing, so the argument could be made that in canon, they exist in the same universe as Sonic the Hedgehog. Plus, he looks so darn cute in Beat's outfit. How's Project M? That's a fan game! Listen, I know how cool the character designs are in Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future, but wouldn't it be cool if you could change their color scheme to match each other? Furthermore, wouldn't it be nice to change their outfits every now and then? I propose that Jet Set Radio 3 have custom palettes and outfits. It'll be the greatest dress-up game in existence. Having the ability to customize each character's outfit is a good way to keep the aesthetic diverse. However, I think we can take it a little bit further. I've always been interested in the stat differences between characters and how it affects the gameplay. You could expand on that further with stat boosts and growth rates, which will then provide a variety of different gameplay options. But with features like these, you usually need some kind of reward system. This one could be hit or miss, but it does keep the customization options a possibility. Ideally, the process would work like this. You complete a graffiti challenge and are awarded a max amount of currency based on your completion time. This would only be used for currency distribution and not as a strict completion requirement. You'd have a default amount given out for each mission if the player goes way over the ideal time. As you progress through the story, the game would award currency based on chapter and quest completion, thereby keeping the amount of currency controlled to an extent. Plus, it incentivizes the player to work for custom options, which is nice. This could have been added to the part about custom options, but since custom graffiti has been a long-time staple of Jet Set Radio, I felt it needed its own part in the video. My big issue with the graffiti menu thus far is that while it provides options to create art, it doesn't allow art to be imported for manipulation. This point is simple. Let me add custom images to my Jet Set Radio 3 graffiti, and if people make offensive images, that's on them, not me, not my fault. This part also expands on the idea of having currency in Jet Set Radio 3, but also adds a story element to the game in a simple way. But more on that later. It could be as simple as having NPCs add secret challenges to a level, or as wacky as retrieving a small animal stuck in a tree. However, side quests shouldn't overpopulate the world. They should be interspersed in each level as to not distract from the main story. It's another way to increase completion objectives, and it can be used to help the currency distribution we talked about earlier. Jet Set Radio Future had a weird combination of arcade-style levels and open-world concepts wrapped up in a neat package. It was different, yet familiar, and it's a good design concept to expand for Jet Set Radio 3. You could take the district idea from the original Jet Set Radio and have multiple levels within a district. Then, from the beginning, have one of the levels in each district be accessible to the player. That way, they're able to move freely within the world. As the player completes objectives, the other levels in the district are unlocked. That way, you'll need to play multiple levels to completely take over a district and defeat a gang. This concept would help to expand the group mentality of Jet Set Radio. I just think there's one thing missing. Can you imagine playing Jet Set Radio with your friends? It could work pretty well. Hover Revolt of Gamers, a game very much inspired by Jet Set Radio, offers online multiplayer. And with how easily servers can be built on a standalone computer nowadays, it would be cool to play through Jet Set Radio 3 in co-op mode with a friend. Alternatively, you could also have a Grand Theft Auto Online-esque mode where the main game is separate and the online mode emphasizes working in groups to achieve your goals. This may be a lot tougher, but it could be really cool and would really help Jet Set Radio appeal to a new audience. I've always liked how the Jet Set Radio games make the song transitions very seamless, akin to a DJ set. Honestly though, they can be repetitive at times since each medley mix is tied to a level. This is less of a problem with the original game, since its levels are time-based and you're listening to them for a shorter amount of time during your playthrough. Jet Set Radio 3 could break this trend and add the option for custom medley mixes. Ideally, there would be a menu in which the player could order the level soundtrack as they like, and the game would produce a custom mix accordingly. This would require either an in-game bot to detect the beats per minute of each song and transition them logarithmically, or it would be on the audio developer to splice song combinations to match each player choice. With so many songs in the Jet Set Radio soundtrack, this could be a lengthy process, but it would truly help player immersion. Besides, the game would still have default medley mixes for each level like its predecessors. However, this is all moot if you don't pick the perfect composer. Alright, listen, this isn't even number 2, it's more like 1.5, but whatever. If you do not have Hideki Naganuma composing for Jet Set Radio 3, you are a soulless beast with no heart. Or maybe you're an altered beast. Oh, come on, it's not that much of a stretch. So the biggest issue I've always had with Jet Set Radio is that as a story, it's not very deep. Sure, you have a bunch of teenagers rebelling against the man, but aside from aesthetic design and voice acting, what makes each character different? The original Jet Set Radio did this very well with the Grind City storyline, but most of the other characters, especially in Jet Set Radio Future, just kind of join the GGs. It's hard to convince others that this game is truly amazing with simplistic storytelling. Since you're going to have so many diehard fans clamoring for the gameplay, the soundtrack, the aesthetic, why not expand an area they may not have appreciated as much before? Give a bit more backstory on the Rokaku group, but more importantly, give each character their own personification and why they're fighting against Rokaku. You could go even further and play off the story of the first 2 games rather than just reimagining the universe once more. The canvas is there, but it's up to SEGA to paint it. Or spray paint it. Thanks for watching the video. It's always fun to speculate about potential games, but there's only 10 ideas in this video. Maybe you have more. Comment below or find me on social media to tell me your ideas for Jet Set Radio 3. If you want to see more Jet Set Radio videos, I've got a playlist or 2 in the description you can check out. I'm FalseProof, and I'll see you next time.